Okay, well, welcome. All right, so, oh, where'd it go? I don't know what happened, it shut down on me. So, okay, so let's see, who's in the waiting room? Skyshon Tyndall. I think that's Mr. Claro. Morning. Who are you?
Can I ask, is Brianna Streetland this morning?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
I don't ever see her on the board.
And the board's on the TV monitor in the hall.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're in court, so you need to sit down and. All right. So, Mr. Tyndall, is that yours? Tyndall, yours, or? That's Sam Malaros. So,
My judge, and let the record reflect I was here right at 8 o'clock. As promised.
well, why don't you turn your video on and we can take care of Mr. Tyndall. And you were here right at 8 o'clock. Mr. Malaro, do you want to handle Tyndall and get that out of the way?
I absolutely would, yes.
All right, let me. What were we going to talk about this morning at 8 o'clock, Mr. Malaro? Because yesterday was a million years ago.
Zachary McFarland.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
I thought we were going to have it resolved.
Do you think we will?
I don't know. We might have to have a bench conference, Judge.
All right. Here's a bunch of these. Row. All right.
Your Honor, who's the, is Miss Holly doing Tyndall or is Mr. Moore covering for her?
I would assume Miss Holly's here today because usually she'll tell me if she's not available for like a sentencing. So I don't know. All right, I have Zachary McFarland here. I have Skyshon Tyndall here. I have family member, someone from Brianna Spiegel in the courtroom. Miss Adams, perhaps, we could get the jail, and I have Rhonda Underwood, and basically she has Johnny Ladd, James Renner, Brianna Spiegel, and Randall Lambert. So we can take any of those.
All right.
Who's your prosecutor on Mr. McFarland, Mr. Malaro?
Well, it's Miss Meir, but I think Mr. Bayonetto's covering.
That's correct.
Okay, so let's take care of Mr. Tyndall. He's here early. What time is he scheduled? Do you need to meet with Mr. Tyndall?
Yeah, I don't know if he, last time I talked to him, I don't know if he got the PSI or not. But it won't take long. But.
Okay. All right, Mr. Tyndall, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I'm going to open up a breakout room and put you and Mr. Malaro into that breakout room and give you an opportunity to speak. So, Mr. Tyndall, Mr. Malaro, go ahead. John Van Dusen. Yes, Chad LaFontaine. So I will have a couple of bench warrants, I'm assuming today, they did not show up for the PSI. Miss Van Dusen, the only one you had was Chad LaFontaine, right?
Yep. And I tried
Okay.
to contact him and to no avail.
So this is in the matter of people of the state of Michigan versus Chad LaFontaine or LaFontaine, file number 23-21288FH and 23-21289. We have Dawn Van Dusen appearing on behalf of Mr. LaFontaine. We have Alexander Bayonetto appearing on behalf of the people. This is the date and time that was scheduled for sentence on the record, and notice was given to the defendant to appear. I've received a case report from the Michigan Department of Corrections that states that on June 21st, Mr. LaFontaine or LaFontaine pled guilty and was released on a PR bond and provided a phone number to the Michigan Department of Corrections in the court to contact him. Since the plea attempts have been made to schedule a pre-sentence interview and they have been unsuccessful, the number was called on 4 separate dates and messages were left. The letter was mailed to the address provided as well. There's been no response from the offender and we are unable to complete an accurate pre-sentence investigation. So, Ms. Van Dusen, you stated you also tried to contact him as well?
Yes, sure. We also sent a letter.
Okay, well, he was ordered to appear. He had notice to appear on the record and his paperwork from the jail. I'm going to issue a bench warrant for failure to appear and set bond in the amount, oh, there's another, hold on, 23-21290 on page, 23-21289 on page, and 23-21288 on page. And I will set bond on each file at 50,000 cash. Obviously, if you get a hold of them, let us know.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. Have a good weekend.
You too. Thank you, Ms. Van Dusen. All right, Ms. Underwood, I think I have one of these for you too. Hold on. All right, so let's move to Michael Spence. So this is in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Michael Charles Spence, file number 23-21377FH. I have Rhonda Underwood appearing on behalf of Mr. Spence and Matthew Payak appearing on behalf of the Attorney General's office. This is a date and time set for sentencing. Notice was given both verbally on the record and through notice of hearing. On June 21, Mr. Spence pled guilty to failure to pay child support. He did in fact pick up his pre-sentence paperwork from the probation department on June 22nd of 2023 as required. He provided a phone number that was only a message phone. He was advised to provide a valid number at a later date. He did not do so. A request was forwarded to Hillsdale County to assist in a home visit. Agent Ellie Langston in Hillsdale County attempted to conduct a home call at his address on Main Street in Camden. She went to the address and met with a Taylor Stone. She stated to her and her ex-husband lived there, used to live there, but she hasn't seen him in 2 weeks. His belongings are on the porch, but he hasn't picked them up. She indicated that she only speaks to him on Facebook Messenger sometimes. Mr. Moore's information was given to her to provide to Mr. Spence, and as of this date, he has failed to appear or contact court. Mr. Pack, do you have the full balance that's owed on this file in child support?
Yes, Your Honor.
That would be the updated as of today or this week?
As of this week, Your Honor, for sure.
Right.
1 second, please.
Your Honor, just for the record, I did try to contact Mr. Spence, and the number I had
John there.
disconnected.
Okay. Want you to find show with you.
The current balance, Your Honor, is $16,130.38.
Did you say 60 or 16?
16.
Maybe I should turn my phone off. Your boss is calling me, Miss Holly. All right, 16, 16, right?
Correct, Your Honor.
All right, so Miss Underwood, if you are able to reach him, that would be great. Otherwise, I'm going to issue a bench warrant for his arrest. I'm going to set bond in the amount of $16,130.30 cash.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All
Thank you, Your
right.
Honor.
Thank you both. Have a good day.
Thank you, Mr. Payoff.
Thank you.
Okay. So, all right, Mr. Amadeo,
Yes, Your Honor.
let's do yours next. This is in the matter of people of the state of Michigan versus Surlander Voltron, file number 22-21158FH. This is the date and time set for sentencing in this matter. I have changed that. William Amadeo appearing on behalf of Mr. Voltron. Name in there. And I have Amanda Wagner appearing on behalf of the people. I did receive an email stating that we will have a speaker today. So, Mr. Amadeo, did you receive a copy of the pre-sentence report?
I did, Your Honor.
And have you had an opportunity to provide a copy of that and review that with the client?
I have, Judge.
Mr. Gotra, you need to go stand next to Mr. Amadeo. I'm sorry. All right, so Mr. Gotra, you were able to read and review the pre-sentence report,
Yes, ma'am.
and you've had an opportunity to discuss that report with your attorney.
Yes.
And are you satisfied with Mr. Amadeo and the advice that he's given?
Yes.
Do you wish to, Mr. Amadeo, do you wish to explain or challenge the accuracy or relevancy of any information in the pre-sentence report?
No additions, deletions, or corrections, Your Honor.
All right.
The
Does,
only thing to add, Judge, is there was an agreement for sex offender treatment, which was not in the base of the report.
yeah, I do have that. Okay, so we will add that.
Did you get a copy of the victim statement? It's loose in here, that's the only reason I don't know. Okay.
All right, all right, so we will add that. All right, Mr. Amadeo, does pre-sentence report disclose any prior convictions in which there exists any known constitutional defect? I see as one prior misdemeanor.
No, Your Honor, that's accurate.
All right, Ms. Wagner, do you wish to explain or challenge the accuracy or relevancy of any information in the report?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, so the probation department in this case has computed the minimum sentencing guidelines to be 0 to 9 months. Mr. Amadeo, do you agree with that comment?
I do agree with that scoring guidelines, Judge.
Ms. Wagner?
I do, Your Honor.
All right. Now, I've been informed that we have a speaker. So Mr. Amadeo, if you and your client could sit down and Ms. Wagner, you could bring this speaker. Seconds. All right, ma'am, could you state your name for me, please?
Cheyenne Zadorsky.
Okay, do you have something you'd like to say?
Yeah, I have a victim impact statement.
Okay. Want to move the microphone so you can, I got tall people, I have little people, so go ahead, there you go.
So I wrote that December 2nd/3rd is a night that I will never forget. I turned 18 2 weeks prior and went out with my friends to celebrate. Little did I know that my life would be changed forever. I wake up screaming with night terrors from reliving that night in my dreams. The trauma from being taken upstairs against my will and violated repeatedly stays with me in the reoccurring nightmares. Even simple acts such as brushing my teeth trigger the trauma from that night. Vomiting as I was orally penetrated from Ricky, or Surlander. Following the rape, I was immediately taken to the hospital where I was violated again, completing a rape kit and being interviewed after surviving such a horrific event is traumatizing and invasive. I was so traumatized by the rape kit and the police interview that I attempted to take my own life that night as my mother drove me home from the hospital. I attempted to jump out her window as she drove me home from the hospital because I didn't want to live with myself and what he had done to me that night. This led to my first hospitalization following the rape. I was both chemically and physically restrained due to my trauma response. I was given a shot in the arm that put me out for at least 3 days, and I woke up in a psych ward. I was locked up in Detroit, forced to take medications that left me feeling numb, sedated, and physically ill. I was released 2 days before Christmas. So I spent 3 weeks in a locked psych ward. I went the night of the rape. Following that hospitalization, I fell into a deep depression. I was drinking alcohol and taking pills to numb the pain. This led me to spending 63 days across 3 separate admissions to rehab, followed by sober living for 30 days. For the past 18 months, I have been to hell and back. I'm in multiple therapies, trauma/sexual assault therapy, one-on-one therapy, SUD groups, NA, AA. I have to take meds every day just to be able to function. If I don't take my meds, I do have nightmares. I have flashbacks. I get anxiety. I struggle going into stores by myself. For a while, I didn't go into a gas station by myself just because I didn't know what would happen to me. I went to a club and my friend left me for 2 seconds. That's how this quick can happen. I was left for 2 seconds and then I got taken upstairs against my will. So I don't go into gas stations anymore by myself. I don't go into stores by myself. But I was able to return and rise above. So I don't want to give you too much satisfaction though, because while you did break me temporarily, I did rise above. I was able to return to school a year later and I earned my high school diploma. I got my driver's license and I got a job. Although it did take me almost 2 years to get a job and all that stuff, I was able to do it. You were just a minor setback. My support system, my mom, dad, brother, friends, and my family stood by me. They took the burnt end of the anger and hurt that you caused. My parents, the financial burden all this caused for them. It seems so unjust to me that you, one miserable person, could affect so many lives in such a negative way and not even face half the consequences that I did. An innocent girl out trying to celebrate her birthday with her friends. And I ask myself this every day. Why me? There was 1 million girls in that club, and you chose me. They chose me. There were so many people that he could have did what he did to, or he could just be a normal person and not do it. But no, he has to be so messed up in the head and perverted that he has to go and take a little girl. I was barely 18. I was celebrating my 18th birthday. I bet if I was 18, this court case would have been taken more seriously and he would be in jail and not getting the stupid probation, but he's getting probation. And I think that is so unjust to me that he's not even getting a full year probation. And I have a full year of, not a year, I have a full lifetime of trauma and pain and flashbacks and anxiety. And I don't even know how I'm doing this without crying right now, but I am, because I'm stronger than what he did to me. And I think, and you're nodding your head because it is so unjust. I know you can't change
No, I
it.
said I agree. You are stronger.
Oh,
I was agreeing.
so it's not unjust. But I do ask myself every day, why me? And it took a long time to understand that there is an answer to that. And that that could ever justify why you did to me or explain why you did to me. You're a very sick and disturbed human. I won't call you a man because a real man could and would never rape a woman. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. So Mr. Amadeo, before the court passes the sentence, is there anything you'd like to say on behalf of your client?
Yes, Your Honor, my client would give a statement, but there's pending civil litigation, so I advise him to keep his mouth shut during this hearing. There's a sentence agreement for 3 years of probation that was agreed by all parties. That's the apology agreement. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Wagner, anything you want to say on behalf of the people?
Your Honor, I don't think there's anything I could add that would be more impactful than what Cheyenne already told this court. And I'm just going to point out for the court, how very difficult it was for her to stand up here. I stood next to her and watched her body physically shake, probably worse than anyone I've ever seen, her voice shake, but she stood here and she told you what happened to her, and she told you about the impact that that's had on her life. And one of the most impactful things that she said while she was up here, she said, "I'm stronger than what he did to me." And I just want to highlight that. I think that's really important, and I would ask you to take her statements into consideration today.
All right. In determining the appropriate sentence in this case, the court has considered the seriousness of the offense, your history, the principle of proportionality, the statutory penalty, the cost of confinement, the sentencing guidelines, the report and recommendation of the probation department, as well as what has been said upon the record at this hearing, the criteria and reasons for the sentence, and the nature and gravity of the offense, the discipline appropriate to its commission, deterrence against repetition by you and by others, the potential for reformation, vindication for the law, and the protection of society. I do commend you for your strength and being able to get up here, because you are stronger than what happened to you, and I'm glad that you recognize that. So, recommended, or it's ordered that Mr. Voltron will be placed on probation for a period of 3 years. He will be ordered to enter and complete successfully sex offender treatment. He'll pay $750 in court costs, $130 crime victim rights fee, $68 in state costs. There's $60 DNA fee, $30 per month supervision fee, and $60 per month if electronic monitoring is ordered. So this is, who did this? And Mr. Jones is not here today. So Mr. Jones is recommending that his bond be applied, but he posted through a bail bond. So I don't think there's any money to apply. So I cannot comply with that. There is to be no contact with the individual with the initials CD or CZ. You must not, during that term of probation, use or possess any alcoholic beverages. You're not to enter any bars or nightclubs where the primary purpose is to serve alcohol for drinking. You must comply with the requirements of alcohol testing as directed, not to use any controlled substances or drug paraphernalia, or be with anybody that possesses these items. You must not use any object as a weapon. You must not own, use, or have under your control a weapon of any type. You must not be in the company of anybody that possesses these items. You must comply with all written or verbal orders made by the field agent. They're allowed to enter your house, view your phone, your car, your person at any time if they have reasonable cause you have items or have done something which violates the bond conditions or your conditions of probation. In order to obey and comply with all other provisions in your articles of probation. Obviously, you didn't make a statement because of concern for civil liability. One of the reasons women don't feel safe. Now, you do have the ability to appeal this sentence. So my bailiff is going to bring down to you 3 copies of the notice of right to appellate review. We have decided 1 copy for my records to show that you received the paperwork. The other copies are for you. If you wish to appeal your sentence, you would fill out the information on the form and mail it to the address listed on the form within 42 days.
It is executed, Your Honor.
1 second. Right, right. All right, so, I received back a signed copy of the notice of right to appellate review. And Mr. Gotcha, if you can just stay there for a moment, we're gonna have you report over to probation. Mr. Amadeo, Mr. Gotcha, just stay there for a moment.
No problem. Tuesday. You still want to come today?
Not thinking.
Mr. Amadeo, you and your client can have stay in court for a little bit.
Yeah.
Probably be safer not to leave. All right, so, Mr. Malaro, Mr. Tyndall. Hi, Mr. Tyndall.
Hi, how you?
Is Mr. Terrell here from Odessa or no?
I didn't get anything.
I didn't either. All right, Mr. Tyndall, let me grab your file. Okay, this is, Mr. Fry, what are you here for?
Sentencing for Anthony Terrell.
From MDOC?
He's out now, so I think he should be on Zoom or in person.
It's not in either, so I don't know if you have a contact number for him. All right, this is in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Skyshun Tyndall. We have two files, 20-20027 FH, Jeff, he just said he's there. He got out. And then 22-20717 FC. I have Salvatore Malaro appearing on behalf of Mr. Tyndall. Mr. Tyndall zoomed in right at 8 o'clock this morning on time. So this is the date and time set for sentencing. Mr. Malaro, did you get a copy of the pre-sentence report?
I did, Your Honor.
And have you had an opportunity to review that with your client?
I have.
All right, Mr. Tyndall, have you had a chance to review and go over the pre-sentence report with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with Mr. Malaro as your attorney and the advice that he has given you?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Malaro, do you wish to explain or challenge the accuracy or relevancy of any information in the pre-sentence report?
Just a couple things, Your Honor. As to the current convictions, the jail credit on the 0027 FH file, Mr. Hartung and I had a brief exchange, and we are fairly certain that there was a bond imposed at some point, and we didn't go and calculate the exact date, but we're in agreement that he should have at least 400 days credit on that file. Second,
400? Wait, so 400?
Yeah.
So is this Mr. Stevenson? Oh, this is Miss Holly's.
Yes, it is.
He was in jail. I mean, I know he was in jail back for it.
Okay, yeah, I don't have any comment on it or information.
All right. So 400 days credit. And that's on file number 20-20027 FH.
correct.
Hold on a second. Fine. That is just fine. All right, anything else, Mr. Malaro?
Yeah, Judge, I don't know that this really matters, but Mr. Tyndall's had been in custody for a very long time. I'm not sure why the district court would have show caused him for failing to pay, but the payment date, the date's due in November, so Mr. Tyndall will have plenty of time to take care of that. And then the third thing, Judge, is he does have employment now. It is with H&H Funeral Services out of Toledo, Ohio. And so we just asked that correction be made.
All right.
Or really more than update be made.
Okay, great. Well, that's good, Mr. Tyndall. Mr. Malaro, does pre-sentence report disclose any prior convictions in which there exists any known constitutional defect?
Not to my knowledge, Judge.
All right, the probation department on the delivery manufacturer calculated the guidelines to be 0 to 17 months. Do you agree with that calculation of guidelines?
Yeah, we have no objection to that calculation.
And then on the assault with a dangerous weapon, the guidelines were calculated to 10 to 23 months. Do you agree with those guidelines as well?
We have no objection to that calculation either, Your Honor.
Right. Before the court passes sentence, is there anything you'd like to say on behalf of Mr. Tyndall?
As the court's well aware as to the drug offense, Mr. Tyndall has taken responsibility for that. He's a young man. He had no prior felony record up to this point. And he readily acknowledges it was a foolish decision on his part. And now that he's gainfully employed and he'd been in custody so long, I am fairly certain he has gotten the message that this is not a way to go through life. As for the other matter, Judge, it was highly contentious, well litigated issue. And Mr. Tyndall was just in a bad spot. Having been the victim of being shot once before, I am pretty certain Mr. Tyndall is now this event where Mr. Silva was driving by the house shooting at the party he was at. I am very certain Mr. Tyndall is going to be a little more circumspect when attending various parties and going out on the town, as opposed to putting himself in potential harmful situations. So we'd ask the court to follow the recommendation of probation and give Mr. Tyndall an opportunity to prove that the youthful mistakes are just that, and that he can become a good father and a productive member of society. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Tyndall, anything you want to say on your own behalf?
No, ma'am.
Okay. In determining the appropriate sentence in these cases, the court has considered the seriousness of the offense, your history, the principle of proportionality, the statutory penalty, the cost of confinement, sentence guidelines, the report and recommendation of the probation department, as well as what has been said upon the record at this hearing, the criteria and reasons for the sentence and the nature and gravity of the offenses, the discipline appropriate to their commission, deterrence against repetition by you and by others, the potential for reformation, vindication for law, and the protection of society. Sentence of the court that on each file, you would be placed on probation for a period of 2 years. On docket number 20-20027FH, will give you credit for time served of 400 days. On file number 22-20717FC, I'll give you credit for 549 days. During the term of probation, you must obey and comply with all the articles of your probation. And would strike the alcohol clause and alcohol testing. But I am going to order that you're not allowed to use or possess any illegal controlled substances, Mr. Tyndall, or paraphernalia. And you must comply with drug testing as required. If you're required, you need to have a substance abuse assessment done. And do you have your GED or your diploma?
No, ma'am, I don't. I'm actually getting.
Good, because we require that. If they recommend any counseling or therapy, you're required to comply with that. Are you in Ohio, living in Ohio now?
No, well, for my job, I've been out there one time only because of what's going on now. So my supervisor doesn't want me to be out here and get caught up, but it is based out in Ohio. And I was going to ask if I was able to, when I have jobs out there, will I be able to travel out there and come back and let you know what's going on?
So I will allow you to travel to Ohio for purposes of employment. I mean, it's not like Ohio is not the next city to us, basically.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, you're not to have any contact with anybody.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, it was breaking up. Can you repeat yourself? Was I allowed to come to a house sometimes to work?
Yes.
Okay.
You're allowed to go to Ohio.
Okay, perfect.
You must complete any counseling as recommended, not to associate with anybody with a felony record without permission of the agent, and not to use any object as a weapon. Obviously, the probation department has the right to search a person and property if they have reasonable cause that you're violating the probation.
Okay.
And then you must obey and comply with all other orders in the articles of probation. Mr. Tyndall, there is restitution in the amount of $180. There is a $60 DNA fee, $68 in state costs, crime victim assessment fee in the amount of $130 on each file. $68 in state costs is on each file. I'll add, so the restitution is on the felonious assault one, I think.
Judge, I think that's on the drug charge.
Oh, all right, so I'll sign the restitution to file number 20-20027FH. And I'll assign the DNA testing fee to that one as well. And there is a $30 per month supervision fee and $60 per month if we have to have a tether. If you end up moving to Ohio, you would have to pay a transfer fee. And there's $750 in court costs, $450 in attorney fees. And there is also an active PPO, and you're not to have any contact with a Cruz Silva. All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, Mr. Tyndall, I don't want you to place your address on the record, but is the address that is in the report your accurate address?
Yes, ma'am.
Right, so we are going to mail to you 3 copies of your notice of right to appellate review and a self-addressed stamped envelope. So when you get an envelope from me, it's going to have a self-addressed stamped envelope in it, and it's going to have 3 sheets of paper. 1 sheet of paper will be highlighted for you to initial and date it. You're going to do that just to acknowledge you received the paperwork. I need that back. So you're going to fold it up. You're going to put it in that self-addressed stamped envelope. You're going to pop it in your mailbox back to me. Okay. If you wish to appeal your sentence, you would fill out the information on the other 2 forms and mail them to the address listed on the form within 42 days. All right.
Yes, ma'am.
And he's to report next Tuesday at 8 a.m.
Yes.
All right, so Mr. Tyndall, you need to report to see Miss Holly next Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. All right?
Ma'am.
All right, Mr. Tyndall, I wish you the best of luck. Mr. Millar, thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
So I do have Mr. Ladd. All right. And Mr. Millar, was Mr. Tyndall, no, again, no. Oh, Mr. Tyndall and Mr. McFarland are your only 2, is that correct?
The judge,
Say it again.
yes.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do, Ms. Underwood, you need a moment to speak. I don't even have my phone. Okay, so Mr. Ladd, I'm gonna pop you in the waiting room, all right? I'll bring you back in just a minute. And then I would ask that everybody that's not on the McFarland case have, well, Mike's okay, and you guys are okay, but you're not okay. You guys go step in the hallway, all right?